the Engineering Emotions and Energy podcast. I'm your host, Justin Wink. Here we are trying to give you a life of less stress, more energy, and the life of passion that you've always wanted and you absolutely deserve. So on today's show, going to be talking about going for the essence of what you want, because chances are you probably didn't want what you think you wanted anyway. So my old home, my old set of relationships, my old job, it's turned out they really don't work for me. And more on that. And it's sad because, I really thought I had it all. I've checked all the boxes. But what exactly did I really think I had, with nice large house in a great suburban town and, marriage with the dog and the cat and the yard and very prestigious job and, Ph.D. credentials from a major California university. What did I really think I had? Not that I've lost all of that, some of that, and it's all stuff that's possible, but what did I really think I have, when had a chance to really think about that. And I thought I had security, comfort, and predictability. And that's the essence of what really mattered in, having a house, a job, and relationships. But when we really look at it, the truth is that anything of this material world can never, I'm going to repeat it, never provide security, comfort, and predictability. That's all a total illusion, because those things can disappear at the snap of a finger, the drop of a hat, whatever metaphor you want to use for a really quick amount of time. So then, how do you actually get to enjoy security, predictability, and comfort? That is what we're going to talk about today, and going through for the essence of what you want, and not actually what it is that you probably think you want, which probably you didn't even come up with. Somebody else came up with it and embedded it into your mind. It's like that movie Inception, where somebody went within a dream of yours and put that idea, and you think that that's your idea, that you actually, you want to be with that person, that you want that job, that you want to eat that food, that you want to drink that drink, when really that's something that came from, your parents, maybe your religion, maybe, your friend group, or maybe just from some ad you didn't even know that you saw because it was in the background of something that you had to do. So I've been back, around where, I lived, most of my postgraduate school life, so been spending time around the house I own, been spending some time with, some old friends. And, been back at, re-examining being at the job. So back to work. And there's a lot where it's amazing the power of habit, because you go back to, similar environment and you're going to be confronted with, apparently it doesn't really matter the amount of time. You'll have some of the similar thoughts. You'll have some of the similar feelings, which, reminds me of this really amazing, kind of study that has a lot to do with the importance of environment and our behaviors and habits. So one of the studies had to do with, I believe they used mice or rats, and they would basically allow these rodents access to as much Coke-filled water as they can handle, and they had one group of rodents. I'm just going to use mice. That was basically, they were like almost in mouse solitary confinement, and they pretty much OD'd on the Coke water about as quickly as possible. Whereas they had another group of mice that are basically in Mousetopia, where they had access to their mouse friends, they had access to exercise, good food. And they just about didn't give a shit about the Coke water because they had everything else that they needed. So environment can be a very, very important part. And you're like, okay, well, that's great. That's mice, but I'm a human. I'm a little bit more complicated. So, you can't do this experiment ethically with humans, although it'll probably be interesting based off of the opioid epidemic. I bet we will have some interesting stuff that we find out a few years from now when we do get, a lot of this data of what's been happening, because there probably has been effectively the experiment of, allowing humans access to as much opiates as they could get their hands on unabated. So it'll be interesting to see the correlations and the causation, other factors of, who takes up on that offer or not. But looking further back to the Vietnam War era of American history, there was huge concern that when that war was over and the soldiers returned back, that there was going to be a heroin epidemic of massive proportions, because there's something thought that like about 90% plus, somewhere around there, of soldiers that were, in Vietnam during the Vietnam War were using heroin. So it's like, oh shit, if all these GIs come back and they're hooked on heroin, it's gonna be awful. So there was that concern. What happened? Very few. I'm not gonna say none, and not gonna say it wasn't important, and probably those soldiers, could have used better support, all that. But it was nowhere near the numbers that they feared. Because what changed is the environment. The environment changed. They were no longer in that environment where they were doing the drug. And so they go back to the environment where they didn't use the drug and they had the support and the love and the whatever that they were used to, and they didn't need that. So going back to, my experience, and my experience is going to be a lot like, either an experience maybe you had or in the middle of or possibly could be facing, which is why we're talking about and why you're interested and why you're going to learn so much of it, is I go back to, where, had a lot of the experiences that led to my depression, feelings of anxiety, feelings of not good enough. What's different though is, and this is why a lot of stuff we share on the show, and why, mindfulness and awareness, and get really starting to question, why you think what you think, why you believe what you believe is so important, is because I'm able to have awareness that, oh my gosh, I'm having the same thought in this meeting as before. Do I want to have this thought? No, I don't. I'm going to choose a better thought that'll lead to my happiness, because I've decided that I'm going to make happiness in the work that I do the most important thing. So I'm going to choose a thought that allows for my happiness. And I know that when I'm happy, it's a lot easier for other people to be happy around me, because I definitely have experienced that when I'm not happy, I'm not as much fun to be around, right? So going back to having experienced these things and realizing like, oh, yeah, I've learned these things don't work for me. So, which in some ways can be very, very depressing in and of themselves, which is probably part of, where the depression came from, is, these things that, that I felt like I was promised, right? We all have these things that we feel like there's, a societal contract that, hey, you follow the rules, you go to school, you get a good job, you're going to have great relationships, you're going to have an abundant amount of money, you're going to have all the things you want, and you're going to be happy, right? And it's like, I did that. I did all the things. I did what you told me to. Why do I not feel happy? Because those things can't ultimately give happiness. Who can give you happiness? You can. Who can give me happiness? I can. So that's why it's important that I'm declaring that I'm going to be happy doing what I do. And for you to be happy doing what you do, you have to do that. Not going to say that that's easy. It's just simple. And going back to, well, what did I think would make me happy about, having a suburban house, a good paycheck, that, till death do you part, marriage thing. And it all goes down to predictability, security, and comfort. And as I've learned, and as I believe we all learn at some point in our life, that those things are not ever going to be satisfied by anything material in this world. And by something material, I mean that's a physical object, a house, a relationship, which would be a marriage or a friendship, and also where you work. That's that you're in relation with your workplace, your manager, that thing, because these things can always You are not 100% in control of those. Those can be taken away from you at any time. Period, fact, end of story. There are no guarantees on any of that thing. The only thing that we're guaranteed is that at some point we're all going to die. That's about, and taxes, right? Isn't it? It's death and taxes are the only two things that are certain in this life. But I will add this, this possibility that these things are within your reach, just not in the way that you think they are. They are within your reach if you view the essence of what you want as a state of mind that you can access anytime you choose to. So I can be comfortable with things changing. So if I aspire to be comfortable with things changing, then I can have comfort at any time because change is constant. I can be secure in knowing that I can handle anything that comes my way, right? So I can work to become secure that whatever happens externally, whatever feelings arise, that I can handle it. And I know you can handle it too. Because think of every awful, horrible thing. I mean, don't literally think about it because I really don't want to get a call like, Justin, I was so depressed I couldn't get out of bed. But just recall abstractly, there are things that you have gone through that you would rather have not. And you are here today listening to this podcast. You made it through. You did survive it. So if you could survive all that stuff from the past, you can survive what's happening now. You can survive what comes at you in the future. And then predictability. If you can predict that when challenging times come, that you will find a way, or you can predict that whenever you have challenging emotions, that you can have awareness and you can rise above and look for a different way of doing it. And you start practicing that and get competence at that. And you can predict that you will, maybe it's not as quickly as you like, but you will make that happen and you will find a way to return to the happiness that you so seek. You effectively have it all without any need for anything outside of you. It is internal. It always has been. The fact that these things that we get sold, these relationships that we're told, that you're obligated to, it's not going to give you what you want. You give yourself what you want. It's not to say that you don't treat people well, you don't respect them, you don't, ask them to do things and they ask you to do things and you do things in return. It's that ultimately the responsibility is on you for you and it's for me. And that is good news. That is freaking good news because everywhere you go, there you are. Am I right? I think I'm right. Because I am here and you're there. You're you, I'm me. And the more we can be who we are separately, when you and I get together, we are going to have some amazing times because there's no expectation. Because what is an expectation? It's a premeditated resentment. That's a saying out of 12-step work often, right? So it's not to say don't have boundaries, don't have standards of how people treat you. It's, when someone doesn't treat you that way, it's on you to, communicate, enforce the boundary. Because often when we look at where someone's coming from, and this was actually came up kind of recently, because again, I'm coming into contact with old friends, old acquaintances. This one woman that would do yoga classes and things like that. She was like, "Hey, come out to my yoga this yoga class I'm doing," and I'm like, "Hey, I'm on social media. I'm pretty aware what's going on. I don't need you to message me for that, because I'm not sure if you're wanting me as a customer or if you're wanting to meet up for friends or I don't know what. So if you want to meet up with as friends, like let's set up an appointment. If I see all the events you do, if I'm available and I'm interested, I'll show up." Right. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. And like, I know that in the past I did some things that I'm, not really, I probably caused some hurt and some harm and things like that. And, I told her, this is all over text messaging type stuff. I was like, hey, at the time you were doing the best you could with your circumstances. I hold no resentment or anger towards anything you did then or even what you just did today. I'm just doing my best to communicate, what's going on with me and, how I would like to be engaged with. But ultimately I'm responsible for, what communication I allow into my life, what people I allow in and things like that. And she was, pretty grateful. Like, oh, it's great. Now I know where I stand and, how we can move this forward or not. Because a lot of things, they're really not that big a deal, right? Because again, we're here to learn. We're here to grow, here to have some good times. And I love having some good times. So what did we learn today? That you probably want something, but I'm going to encourage you, get to the essence. When you get that thing, what is it that really means to you at a how do you feel level? And if you're like, I don't get it, I don't know, send me a note, podcast@justinwink.com, or hit me up on social media. I'm on Facebook whenever it's up, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. So contact me. Remember to subscribe. It really does help. And, tell a friend. And be on the lookout for, I've got a chapter in an upcoming book. It's called Activate Your Life, Volume 3, that's going to be released, I believe, October 25th. So be looking for that on my social media. And there's going to be, some events with that, and looking forward to, having something in mind that you guys can all read. So that's it for me. Take care and good day.